and welcome back to another episode with Born to Talk with Callanthea. So, in today's episode, another really awesome, exciting one that I enjoy talking about is being present. Okay, the benefits of being present, the importance of being present, and specifically, I will be using lots of knowledge and wisdom from Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. So, you might have heard of The Power of Now before. Maybe you've read it, maybe you haven't. If you haven't, and you think that this is something that you could learn a lot from and you would really enjoy, I'll leave a link in the description for you to have a look at. And then obviously you can decide whether you want to buy the book or not. So I have my book in front of me and I've had it for several years. And people say that you've got a good book when it's looking really scruffy. And mine is looking quite scruffy. It's been on a few trips with me. It's tearing a little bit at the edges. But it's still one of those books that I always end up coming back to because it is just so inspiring. And I don't know, it just sits with me. Every time I read it, it just makes sense. So there's so many wonderful things that are written in this book. For example, he writes about how we're not our mind, okay? And lots of people seem to assume that we are our minds, and he kind of challenges that viewpoint, which is brilliant. He writes about being present and conscious as a way to escape pain and get out from pain, and also about being present, how it dissolves the ego, and also how it can enlighten our relationships and bring us deep peace in all areas of our lives. So, there are so many amazing topics that he does cover, essentially all linking back to how being present is the foundation of achieving peace in our lives. So, one thing that I noticed when I read this book is that there's essentially a back and forth dialogue going on between the writing in italics, which represents us as the reader and our thoughts and questions that we might have, and then Eckhart Tolle's response. And I think that that's an excellent way to write this non-fiction book because it does engage you as the reader and it makes you really think. And he's got an answer for absolutely everything. So it really is a good challenging book to read if you are curious about the power of now and willing to accept who we really are at the core of our being. So in this episode, what I'll talk about what is presence, especially from what I've learned from Eckhart Tolle, and then explaining why it's valuable, how it's been valuable in my life, a little bit more about my journey of being present, and then a few sort of tips to focus on to get more presence in your life, okay? Because I always think that it's valuable to have a few sort of takeaways. So if we're thinking about what is presence, I've learned from Eckhart Tolle that being present means that you are not thinking about the past, you are not thinking about the future. What you are doing is being engaged right now in this very moment and essentially being connected to the being within. Okay, he does refer to the being, so almost like a spiritual entity, maybe, but essentially you are being really connected and you're just focused on the now. So it sounds quite straightforward, but if you think about it, quite often what we do is have this internal dialogue, we get distracted by outside forces, constantly checking our phones, our emails, speaking to other people. So it's actually very, very hard to be truly present. Quite a lot of the time, you'll spend most of the day being distracted to the point that you don't even realize that you've got a new ache or pain in your body because you're being that busy, you're that distracted. So this is the problem, really, because it doesn't bring us peace in our lives. And this kind of brings us on to why is it valuable to be present? So first of all, if we are present, truly, truly present, okay, there's an acceptance of the now. And that is truly, truly important because if we can accept what's happening in our lives at this current moment in time, then we can be more in flow with the events that unfold, okay, in our lives. Because there's no point in pretending to be a salmon swimming upstream because that's just hard work. But if you're more in the flow, then you're going to enjoy your life more. And being present, of course, does bring us more peace, okay? Because we might have a problem or worry about something that's going to happen the next day. I'm sure we've all been there, especially when it's work related. Okay, maybe you're being assessed or something like that. And it does weigh on your mind, okay? And it's understandable that it does. But what's important to recognize is that all we have is the here and now. So there is literally no point in worrying about a future event when you can just find peace right now. Okay, because if you actually looked around you and actually focused on what you have in your life right now, there'd be so many things to be grateful for and recognize that you have. So there's so many wonderful, valuable benefits to being present. And he does also mention in his books about how if we're present within ourselves, not only do we have peace with ourselves, but of course we emanate peace with others. Okay, our relationships are more fulfilling, more rewarding, and we're putting out that good energy, that good peaceful energy out into the world. And that is going to essentially make the world a better place. If you've ever observed young children playing with a new toy, you'll see just how joyful and happy they are. If you've ever observed a dog, again, playing with a toy or walking in a park or running in a park, you'll see just how happy the dog is. Just to be alive. There is nothing in the past, nothing in the future, only the here and now, which they appreciate and which they enjoy. And it's interesting how society is set up to make us have all these goals, think about the future, keep up with the Joneses, etc. And all that's doing is, inhibiting our ability to be present. It interferes with it massively. But that's where we need to be more accountable and realize just how much work we have to do in order to get back to being present and having more peace in our lives. And even though I know this wisdom, I still find it hard to apply it. Okay, I'm human. It is difficult. It's quite frustrating because my boyfriend is a lot better at being present than I am. I am quite goal orientated. So, I'm wanting a house, I'm wanting to have a dog, I'm wanting to start settling down more. But I can't have that just yet until I've saved up more money, etc. And it's a conversation that I might bring up quite a lot. And Luke will just kind of try to shut it down because he says, look, you're just going over the same thing. There's no point. Like, it's taking away your peace from the now. And it makes complete sense. So I have been trying to work on that and focus more on that and just kind of like let go of it. It doesn't mean to say you can't have goals, right? You can write down everything that you know you want to achieve, but then just bring it back to focusing on what you can do in the present. If there's nothing you can do, then just don't think about it. If there's something you can do, then focus on that step in the present moment. And once you're finished with it, put it away, leave it alone, and wait for the next step when you know that you can do a next step. So I know it's not easy, okay? I've struggled with this myself. But when I have managed to be extremely present in my life, it has brought me a lot more peace. And what's amazing is when I'm doing these podcasting episodes, I'm basically solidifying and consolidating the knowledge that I've already come across over the years, sharing it with other people. But it's also good for me. It's a good reminder as to what I should be doing in my life, how I should be going about it, in order to have a better, more enriching life. So, it's not about being perfect, but it is about taking accountability. What can we do in this moment to be more present with the moment? So, what are some of the ways that you can be more present? Because you might be listening to this thinking, well, it all sounds fabulous, but how do I really go about it? And I picked out two things that I think would work really nicely. So, the first one is to not let clock time dictate your life. So, as we know, time is a man made construct, right? It's a social construct to allow us to operate in society. And that has its purpose, absolutely. So, what I mean by not allowing it to dictate you is to stop allowing that clock time to be on your mind to the point that you can't get yourself away from it. Okay, because it does have a place. So we know that if we say we're going to meet our friend at 8 o'clock, we'll all meet at 8 o'clock at the exact moment, right? So it does have its place. But if you are constantly living through this time and checking the time, what time is it? How long do I have left? How much time do I have to spend with my friends before I need to go home, go to bed, and then I've got to get up for work? When you're constantly aware of that man-made construct, the clock time, then it really does stop you from being present. But if you can say, right, I know that I need to be at this place for this time, I'm going to put my alarm on to remind me maybe half an hour before, then you don't have to keep checking the clock. You don't have to keep thinking that you're on this certain time zone when you can just be present. So when I practice this, it's absolutely been game changing, to the point where I felt so much peace, especially if I've meditated and I've tried to get away from the idea of time. It really is, a brilliant way to sort of integrate yourself into the present moment. So don't let clock time dictate you, but you use it as a tool and make sure that you kind of get away from it when you can. Okay. And another way to be more present, which Eckhart Tolle does mention quite a lot in his books, is that you really need to connect to your body and your senses, because they really do anchor you in the present moment. I kind of mentioned earlier how sometimes, we might even not even realize that we've got a certain pain or feeling within his bodies because maybe we're too distracted, right? We're too in our heads. And that is, quite common for a lot of us. In fact, many of us. But what we really need to be doing is bringing ourselves back to the present moment through our bodies, because they really do have a lot to teach us. And some people might want to do that through meditation, where you close your eyes, you focus on your senses, you observe your thoughts, and you view everything from, the observer's point of view, right? And that can absolutely be so amazing and beneficial to really bring you into the present moment. So meditation should not be overlooked. But you can also do it without actually meditating. Maybe just focus on one sense at a time. Maybe you put on a new song and you really just take the time to listen to it, right? And enjoy it. Maybe the next time you have some food, rather than talking and thinking, you just take your time to enjoy the taste of the food, right? You really make sure that you are present whilst you are eating. So really thinking about the senses that we have can help anchor us in the present moment. So don't allow clock time to dictate your life, but instead use it as a tool. And then also just make sure that you are connecting to your body, your senses on a regular basis. And that is how you're going to access the present moment a lot more. And it might be that you start off slowly, okay, start off in a small way, and then it builds and it builds up and it builds up. And hopefully you will notice the difference with how you feel, how relaxed you are feeling when you are more present. So I hope it's been valuable for you. And if you really do enjoy discussing the power of now, present moment. If you haven't got the book, absolutely get the book. Like I said, there's a link in the description. And thank you so much for listening. And remember, stay true to you. And hopefully, I'll see you soon.